Happy Monday, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Mackenzie Lambert, your host for the Mack and the Movies. On this episode, we have one of the most bizarre, aesthetically twisted films ever made. It also marks the feature film debut of one of cinema's most deranged geniuses, David Lynch. Let's take a look at Eraserhead. Eraserhead centers on Henry Spencer, who lives in the Rust Belt decayed city of Philadelphia. He is going through the day-to-day. In short order, his life is turned topsy-turvy. He is pushed into marriage with Mary after it is revealed she had a child, and her mother believes Henry to be the father. Henry is given this new life of responsibilities that he struggles to cope with. The film is rich for interpretation and study. One can easily make note of Lynch's love of literature, but also interpret these elements in their own way, even without knowledge of Lynch's reading habits. If you notice outside the window of Henry's apartment, there is a brick wall. On the surface, this can be a callback to Melville's Bartleby the Scrivener. From an analytical angle, the brick wall represents the isolation in Henry's life, or that the bleakness of the brick wall represents the nothingness of the world outside. There is a figure, a man in the planet, who comes off as a godlike figure. He is covered in sores, boils, and other body horror imagery. I took him to actually be God. His appearance could either be a reflection of how the world turned out, or it could be that he was ugly to begin with and made the world after his own festering image. The first time we see Mary is via a picture torn in half. This hints at the notion that Henry and Mary were previously a couple, but broke up, possibly because she was cheating on him. This leads me to believe that the child isn't even Henry's. When confronted by Mary's mother, he admits he's too nervous to engage in sexual intercourse. Henry doesn't have a say as this new life is thrusted upon him. You'll also notice Lynch making subtle commentary on adults who are still practically children. Watch Henry and notice his posturing. One scene while he's sitting on the bed, he sits like a young child would. Or for another scene when he's lying down on his stomach on the bed, in a childlike manner with his hands over the edge. While Henry and Mary may look older, it makes their adolescent behavior more noticeable. Overall, the film comes off as a hyper-realistic take on adulthood. For a long time, it was considered the American dream to have a family, a home, and kids. Here, Lynch presents that dream as a nightmare. Henry has an emotionally unstable wife, lives in a small apartment, and the child is deformed from prematurity. Adulthood is scary, which may reflect on Lynch's own thoughts on settling down. He was 26 when he started making Eraserhead, with much of his life still ahead of him. Yet, he was at an age to bear witness to the nuclear family imploding and divorce rates increasing. The warm home of the stable family had given way to a new world of individualism, either with ambition or indifference. Henry Spencer is one of the indifferent. Visually, the film is striking. There are hints of expressionism in the set design. The minimalist approach makes the eerie moments pop out more, be it the dancing girl in the radiator, the man-made chickens served by Mary's parents, or the Barbara Steele-esque beautiful girl across the hall. The dialogue is minimal, relying more on images to tell the story. Other than a few tracks by Fats Waller, the audio is primarily ambience. It's not a stretch to imagine Silent Hill composer Akira Yamamoto giving this film a listen as inspiration. The cast is a mix of unknowns and familiar faces. Jack Nance would be a David Lynch regular after Eraserhead, appearing in Blue Velvet, Dune, Twin Peaks, and Lost Highway. Charlotte Stewart will be recognized by fans of the Tremors series. Darwin Jostin would later work with John Carpenter on Assault on Precinct 13 and The Fog. Hal Landon Jr. will likely be best remembered as Ted's dad from Bill and Ted. The film is rich with depth and can be analyzed to death, and will likely continue to be put under the microscopes of film study classes everywhere. From an audiovisual standpoint, it's the pinnacle of cinema as art. This can stand right alongside the likes of Salvador Dali and Edward Hopper. If you haven't had the chance to see it yet, there are a few avenues to see it streaming online at the cost of only a few bucks. It is well worth it. And that finishes this look at Eraserhead. I would love to know what you think in the comments section below for this film. Feel free to follow my channel to stay on top of future content. Stay tuned for After the Credits for a preview of next week's film. I'm Mackenzie Lambert with Mack the Movies. Until next time, take care everyone.